Just by show of hands, how many parents of current wreckers are here tonight? All right, our current wreckers, let's give our future wreckers a nice round of applause. All right. Welcome to Staples Transition Night. I am Stafford Thomas, proud principal of Staples High School, and this is wonderful to see the crowd that is assembled here tonight. We have a big night for you. It's very exciting, it's a lot of information, and it's a lot of information. So I want you, when I count to 3, to inhale for 3 seconds, pause, and then exhale for 3 seconds. Can we do that? 1, 2, 3. Exhale. All right. The reason is tonight you're going to be inundated with information about course selections. Many of you will be making next week. The number of course offerings that we have are incredible. That's part of the reason why we are the best high school in Connecticut. But that is not, it's okay to clap for that, but that's not our goal. Our goal, and what we're working so hard to do, is to make this the best high school for you. And that's something that, through the course offerings, very exciting. You'll hear about GPA, you'll hear about the different classes, the schedules, the graduation requirements. That's all a lot. But tonight, you'll just get a framework of that. Take advantage of going to some classes that perhaps you weren't thinking about, or you were interested, but they're not the core classes. Get some information there. Then over the next week, sit down over dinner, have that conversation with your family about, what would be best for me? What's going to be the fit? And then be able to move forward. Because one thing we're working on in terms of the number of offerings that we do have, you're very fortunate because next year, you'll be a class that will take part in the second year of our advisory program, and that's what we're working on, not just to build the academic and athletic success that we have here, but to build a feeling of school community. You will also be the first class, and this is one time where the PTAs from the middle school and the high school all help to fund our Link Crew. And so we're going to be working on a transition program for the first time for 8th to 9th grade. So there will be time later in this year and then the first couple of days of school where there's going to be a nice transition period that was not previously available to our students. And it's all in an effort to make Staples not the best high school in the state, but also the best high school for you. The other part and the reason as to why this place is so amazing and so great, my first year here, just had a podcast. You can go on our Inklings. You'll probably see the papers, but Inklings has a news site, and next week there'll be a podcast about my first 100 days. Is the wonderful students and the faculty and staff, who many of you'll be able to meet tonight, and the compassion, the talent that is here to help you and your students, children that are here tonight, reach the pinnacle of success. I just want to give a quick shout out to some of the administrators that you will get to know. We have our assistant principals that are assigned by grade. So for next year's, for 12th grade, we'll have Mr. Missanilio. I guess you can cheer now. There we go. All right. Next year's junior class will be led by Mr. Dunlap. Here in a dual role of next year's sophomore AP, but also a parent, we have Mr. Farnan. And here to say a quick hello will be next year's 9th grade assistant principal, Miss Ward.
Hi, everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces, and just talking to some of the seniors who are graduating, I know we have a lot of siblings of graduating seniors in the audience. So this time of year is always bittersweet for me because we're sending off a great crew of kids, and I'm really excited to welcome all of you. Next year is the class of 2024 at Staples High School. I just want to echo briefly what Mr. Thomas had said. try to see it all tonight and really get a good sense of what we have to offer. There are so many pathways for kids to choose from here at Staples High School. And what I love about high school is coming out of middle school, you have so many choices to really form your own path and really find your own identity here at Staples. So I wish you all the best of luck tonight and towards the end of your 8th grade year. I'm so excited to meet all of you and get to know you between now and the end of this school year, and certainly at the start of next school year.
Thank you. Some other administrators, not sure if they're here, but we have Mr. Lawrence, who is the head of PPS. He's nice round of applause. And I'm sure parking was just lovely tonight, separate from the weather. That's because we have a boys varsity game. There's always something going on here at Staples all year round, including the summer. Mr. Lisovic, the athletic director, will be in the gymnasium tonight. So, are you ready to learn more about Staples? All right. At this time, I'd like to introduce our head of guidance, Mr. Plunkett.
I feel like I needed the Bulls theme song or something there. But hi, I'm Bill Plunkett, Director of Guidance, and on behalf of the counseling staff, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Staples High School and our community here. As Mr. Thomas and Mr. Ward talk about, it really is a wonderful school with so much to offer in and out of the classroom, and I'm proud to be part of a team that is so deeply committed to helping our students thrive and have a meaningful experience while they're here. Students, the high school counselors really enjoyed meeting with you guys at Bedford over the past couple of weeks, along with your 8th grade counselors. You guys ask great questions and are clearly thinking a lot about the courses that you're thinking about for next year and the choices that you'll be making soon as you transition to the high school. We're excited to be joining you in this journey, and our counselors will be ready to meet with our individual students later this school year for a more personal introduction. What we're going to talk a little bit more about now are some of the considerations that go into course selection for 9th grade and information we feel would be helpful for you to know as students and parents so that you can make the best possible decisions for you, in line with your strengths, your needs, your interests, and your goals so that you're set up for a positive transition and a well-balanced high school experience. And we start with the end in mind, and the requirements for graduating from Staples come June 2024, which will come more quickly than you'll ever believe. Our graduation requirements are listed in the handout that you received at the door. They're also explained in the program of studies and on the Staples Guidance website, both of which I strongly encourage you to read through in order to gather more information to learn about our curriculum, our programs, and our procedures. The graduation requirements did change, starting with the current 9th grade class as part of new state legislation. Moving forward, and for your class, in order to graduate from Staples, students are required to earn 26 credits over the course of 4 years. This includes 9 credits in the humanities, 9 credits in STEAM, science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math, 2 years of a single world language, and 2.5 years of health and physical education. 1 credit will count toward what's called the mastery-based diploma requirement, which has not yet been formalized by the Board of Education and likely won't be relevant until later in high school. And then an additional 2.5 credits that can come from any other subject area. You'll also see that within the broader categories of humanities and STEAM, there are requirements within specific subject areas as well. In a minute, we'll take you through as a typical 9th grade schedule, but I do want to assure you that, that what you'll take in 9th grade is going to put you on track to meet each of these requirements. Even with the new requirements, there's a good amount of flexibility that's built in, especially with classes that can count in multiple areas. So it's important to keep these requirements in mind as you plan moving forward, but I wouldn't let that be a major driver in your decision making for 9th grade at least. Next, I just want to briefly touch on GPA, which you can also review the specifics of more closely in the handout that you received and the program of studies. GPA stands for grade point average, so an average of all your final grades converted to a 4.0 scale. It's a snapshot of how well you will have performed over the course of your high school career. At Staples, 2 GPAs are calculated for each class, and both are reported on the transcript. For students in the class of 22 and beyond, so including your class, it's an unweighted and a weighted GPA that are calculated. Both GPAs do include all coursework at Staples, including academics, electives, health, and physical education. The difference is that for the unweighted GPA, all courses are weighted the same. For the weighted GPA, there's an extra boost for honors and an additional boost beyond that for AP and other college-level courses. In both GPAs, courses at the A, B, and C level, and courses that have no level, such as electives or physical education, are treated the same and considered college and career prep. You'll soon hear more about the differences between each of these levels and how to go about deciding what's right for you or your child, both with respect to an individual subject area and then as you think about your workload as a whole. Bottom line, as counselors, we believe wholeheartedly in well-informed, grounded, individual-based decision-making that helps you towards your long-term goals, but also preserves your overall well-being. Next up, we're going to go over some pieces of the timeline and process for course selection over the next few months. Thank you again for being here. Welcome to Staples, and wish you all the best.
Hi everyone, my name is Ms. McGilnick. I'm one of the school counselors here, and I'll be talking with you about course selection process and timeline. So 8th grade students and families received an email on February 4th with information about course recommendations and pre-registration. In order to access your recommendations, you would go to the class registration page on PowerSchool, then click the Teacher Recommendations tab. Your core class teachers, English, math, science, and social studies, as well as world language teachers, make recommendations. Your teachers really take the time to consider what the appropriate fit is for you when making those recommendations. Take these recommendations into consideration when signing up for classes. Teachers have a good grasp on your current performance and on future courses. Be mindful of this if you are considering an override for the teacher recommendation. Students will be pre-registering with their middle school counselor on February 12th and 13th during the day. You will be reminded early next week of your specific time for your pre-registration. I want to stress that pre-registration is not first come, first served basis for classes, so pre-registration meetings are just for your initial set of requests. It does not matter if you're doing it Wednesday or on Thursday. But prior to these dates, it would be really good to discuss as a family the possible course options and be sure to review the program of studies. This will help you make informed decisions for pre-registration. You will then receive a course selection worksheet shared by the 8th grade counselors. This is where you will list the classes that you plan to take. You will bring this worksheet with you on February 12th or 13th when you pre-register as a group. You want to make sure that you have chosen electives for each semester and that you also have alternate electives for each semester as well. Some classes are very popular and they do fill up quickly. You would not have to enter anything on PowerSchool prior to February 12th or 13th. And remember that the high school counselors will be there with your middle school counselors during the pre-registration for support and to help answer questions. After you do pre-register in school, you will be prompted to save your request as a PDF and email that to your parents. You will print that page out, your parents would then sign it, and you would bring it with you when you have your individual meeting with your counselor. Your teachers will let you know when your individual meetings are. While you are at those meetings, ask any questions that arise and talk with them about any overrides you are considering. March 27th is a really important deadline to keep in mind. This is the deadline to make any course changes and return any override forms to your counselor. Then in June, students will meet with their assigned high school counselor to review and receive a list of the courses that they registered for. It won't have the periods listed or the teacher assignments, and if there are any conflicts, your counselor will work with you to choose alternate courses. In August, students will be able to view the full schedule with teachers and periods. I know that this is a lot of information, and I know it can feel overwhelming, but I want to reassure you that you will receive all of this information again, and there will be lots of opportunities for clarification. Thank you.
Back up there. All right. So good evening. My name is PJ Washenko, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about course selection. So for all incoming freshmen, this is a typical freshman year schedule that you'll see that I'll have represented within it. English 9 that all freshmen will have to take. The next math course in your sequence that you're coming out of middle school with. Science, as you can see, biology, accelerated science. For history, it's global themes. World language, we have 6 different world language classes that you can choose from between Spanish, French, Latin, German, Mandarin, and Italian, thank you. So there's a lot of choices, there's a lot of options here, but it's going to be different for every student for what they want to pick. I'm going to talk about levels on the next slide. But you want to think about what interests you the most, which subject areas you feel like you're strongest at or you're most interested about that you'd want to put that time and effort in. PE is going to be something else that everybody will be scheduled for as well, which will be the time to kind of move around, be active, learn about your health at the same time. And then you have the elective options that are listed at the bottom here. And as you'll learn tonight when you go into the classrooms, there's so much here at Staples between performing arts, between theater and music and band, choir. We have so many fine art classes, photography, watercolor, graphic design, pottery, ceramics. It goes on and on and on. Media, we have a huge media department here as well. So there's a lot that you can pick from. But the course of studies that you'll see here, program of studies, it's got so much information in it as well. So even after you hear from the teachers tonight what courses we have available, what might be on your interest list, definitely look back at the program of studies just to make sure that you have that nice balance of everything that's going to be there. Because while we do have a lot here, it's going to be your choice for what you put into that schedule. Do you want to have a free period, or is it better to fill in that space with a course? Free periods are, it's a personal decision. If you feel like you need that time to have a break in the day, do homework, see teachers, see friends, if you like, that's what a free period can be used for. Other students feel I'd rather be busy and doing other activities during that time, so maybe I take on an additional elective instead of having that free period. So it's good to think about what you feel like you have the time for during the day, because that's really going to be dependent on the classes that you're going to be picking for next year. And then going on to levels, so with all the academic subject area classes, we're going to have these levels associated with most of them. So think about yourself as a learner. So this is for students. Think about what you feel like you gravitate towards more within the classroom now. Think about the topics you enjoy discussing in the classroom with friends, with teachers, with your parents. Because you want to make sure that if you're going to be in the classes that you're going to get the most out of. If you have subject areas that maybe you're not as strong with, it's okay to take some of the other classes that are going to be at the lower level. But again, you're still going to get the college preparatory curriculum, preparedness. All of our students that graduate from Staples, they talk about how ready they are for that next step after, whether it's college, career, whatever it might be. But all the level classes are something that you're going to get something out of. I've had students who take honors classes in humanities and then B-level classes in math and science. They go off to college, like, I want to do communications, and I come to find out now they're pre-med. So, and they took B-level classes throughout Staples. So you're going to get a lot out of all the classes that are here, but looking at the descriptions, you got to think about, the pace, the workload, the ability to work independently. Do you work better within smaller groups? Do you work better when work is scaffolded? So each of these levels is going to have that represented within. But as you go up in the level, it becomes a little bit more rigorous. The pace picks up. The expectations increase as well. So you have to be ready for that step. I know my colleague mentioned overrides earlier. That's something that you got to really think hard about if it's something you want to take that step up to the next level. Your 8th grade teachers are making their recommendations based on performances within their classes. And they know our curriculum very well. They talk to their department chairs who are here in the building. They know the classes that are going to be taught here at Staples, so they're making recommendations based off what they know you're going to be stepping into. So I would, think about, are these levels I want to, ramp up in? Because with that, level up comes more work, faster pace, higher expectations. If you're talking multiple overrides, now that's multiplied by that many. So you got to be cautious sometimes, or think about free periods to use during work time. Think about after-school commitments as well. Is that something that they're going to have time to address the work, which I know my colleagues can talk about that a little bit more as well. So there's a lot that goes into this. And again, the breakout sessions we're going to have after this will give you a lot of information about that. Talk to your counselors in the middle school as well. They have a lot of information. But there's something here for everybody, so you want to make sure you're picking the right classes for you. Thank you.
So good evening, 8th grade students and parents or guardians. For those of you who have older children here and have been here before, welcome back. And for those adults brand new to Westport, or your 8th grader is your oldest child, welcome to Staples High School. I'm Victoria Capozzi, school counselor. Students, with the information that was just delineated by Mr. Wishenko, we ask that you think carefully about yourself and yourself only when considering course selection for grade 9. With yourself, and parents with your child only in mind, consider the big picture in a few ways. First, please remember that teachers this is what Mr. Wishenko was just saying, teachers make course recommendations for their subject area only, not taking into account the course recommendations from other teachers. You and your folks hold the responsibility to look at the big picture, to include your total course load and the academic rigor of each level, your extracurricular activities, your social life, your family values, and definition of success, as well as your physical and mental health. What I'm trying to say basically is don't overload yourself with a course load that may not allow you to balance your days. You are more than just academic machines, and you definitely should have space in your day for fun, rest, and sleep. Parents, I ask you to remember that your kids are 14 years old, 14-year-old teenagers. So parents, take a moment and think back. What were you like when you were 14? Where were you? What did your world look like? Were you a perfect, dedicated, diligent student? Did you make mistakes or do things you wish you hadn't? Sure, some of you out there may have received top-tier grades and been behavioral angels, and I bet many of you didn't and weren't. Kids, ask your folks about their teenage years. Ask them to tell you their teenage story. Parents, please talk with your children about your own paths. How did you or your spouse arrive at this place in your life? What about your friends, your doctors, your lawyers, your electricians, your plumbers, whoever? How did they land where they are? Nobody is born with an advanced degree or a 6-figure salary. Believe it or not, the kids, whether they let you know or not, are interested in our stories, and we should let them know how we arrived where we are today. These journeys are rarely straight lines, kids. They're rather somewhat squiggly. Students need the adults in their lives to encourage a spirit of overall exploration and growth, not just a drive for a grade or a GPA. As counselors, we're frequently asked for definitive black and white answers to questions about course levels, and in particular, how many higher level courses does my son or daughter need to get into a good college? Or is it better to get an A in an A-level class or a B in an honors level class? Folks, there's nothing black and white about the answers to these questions, as each student is unique in their own way and may have different goals and value systems. Oh, and in my opinion, I should let you know, every college is a good college. So, yes, high school grades matter. However, really what matters more should be whether or not, kids, you are thriving while learning, not surviving while learning. It is 100% possible to do well here, to do academically well here at Staples High School, while forming positive social relationships and having fun. In order to do so, one must make the conscious effort to choose classes that are appropriately challenging and not overwhelming. The Staples High School administration, school counselors, and faculty advocate for the importance of taking an appropriately challenging program that balances a student's academic aspirations with their emotional well-being. In conjunction with what you will learn throughout the rest of the evening, take time this weekend to reflect and decide what is best for you and you only. There's no one right or wrong answer. Every child is different, and counselors at the middle school do their best to know your child so they can aid in the course selection process. As counselors, we can help you and your students see the big picture, as we, along with the teachers, are the school experts. We are in the business of preparing kids for life, not just getting into college. Please utilize the considerations and questions on the slides on the screen as a guideline for decision-making with your son or daughter. They're in the PowerPoint as well. For example, pay attention to the number of times your child has been permitted to submit something for extra credit and how much of their grade is made up of this extra credit. Extra credit at the high school doesn't really happen. Pay attention to the number of times your child has been permitted to hand in late work for full credit. Is your child one who spends little or no time on homework? If so, nothing magical is going to change as soon as they walk through the front doors of Staples High School. New habits take time to establish, and encourage and make that change now to complete homework and start reading for pleasure. Is your child a bundle of nerves about his or her grades? Perhaps you wish to consider scheduling options to limit stress, not create more. And how much time is devoted to extracurricular activities? For example, is your child involved in multiple clubs or dedicated to a certain cause? Play an elite sport on a travel team, dance 6 days per week, or very active in church or temple? They will need time to continue exploring these, and they should continue to explore them. Does your child possess enough intrinsic motivation to complete tasks without being pestered? Is your child a very concrete black and white thinker? One who could only see something one way and may argue that it is the only way. Additionally, please consider if your son or daughter seeks out and embraces academic challenges, or if they often seek the path of least resistance. When choosing courses with your sons and daughters, please remember this as well. Developmentally, ninth grade students are at the beginning of a period of major brain development. Their brains will develop exponentially over the next 4 years. As a matter of fact, and science, the synapses in their prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for the higher order thinking, judgment, problem solving, decision making, complex planning, and impulse control, still has plenty of pruning ahead of them, and that region of their brains won't fully mature until they are 25, unfortunately. Their grown-up body doesn't always house a mature mind. Parenting teenagers can be challenging, and we are here to help navigate the roads, both bumpy and smooth, with you. At this age, it's your child's full-time job to develop a sense of their own identity, and the fact that this is subject to change on a whim without notice, and keeps all of us adults who care for them on our toes. The adolescent social world is complex and one of the utmost importance to them, and with their near constant technological connectedness, there is rarely ever a break from it. That is, folks, unless you force the technology break and set rules at home around screen time usage. Folks, the kids are still very young, and they lack the perspective that their future selves will have. They may not yet have had the experience of needing how to figure out how to move forward after a major disappointment or loss. Please help them foster a growth mindset. Now, keep in mind that the message internalized in this competitive, academic, achievement-oriented community, not unlike similar towns near us, is the misconception that in order to get into a really good college, students must do all of the following. Take the most rigorous course load possible, including a hearty helping of APs and honors classes, earn all A's in them, do impactful, life-changing community service work, co-captain several sports, found an original club to demonstrate leadership ability, develop musical talent. Then on top of that, find a way to differentiate themselves from all the other smart, talented kids. Is it any wonder that so many of our students are often nervous, feel inadequate, or exhausted? They just don't have to do that. Behold, it doesn't have to be this way. Your child's high school years are important in their own right, not just as a launch pad for college. These 4 years go quickly and will never ever happen again. When our children are overscheduled, doing all they believe they need to do, they are actually missing out on some of the most crucial personal development that needs to happen right here, right now. We can allow our students some of the joy of just being kids by taking the lead and believing and trusting your own gut instincts, loving your child for who they are now, all while finding and keeping your sense of humor. Allow for their adolescent growth and don't overwhelm them in their freshman year, please. Choose the just right schedule that challenges but does not overwhelm them. You, kids and parents, have the power to set yourself up for the most wonderful and balanced freshman year. Stay true to who you are and trust and believe all will be okay. I've watched 17 freshman classes graduate from high school and launch after high school, and guess what? All will have been okay. Have a great time exploring this evening, and remember, the choice is yours to aid in your success next year. Choose balance.
Good evening, students and families. My name is Christina Banks, and I'm going to talk a little bit about alternative high school options. The Westport Public School System recognizes and values that students have different learning styles, needs, and goals. These areas can be achieved through numerous pathways. One of them may be attending Staples, or it could be by attending a public high school in a neighboring town. Could it be possible that there's a more fitting high school for you? Perhaps you will thrive in an environment that is more curriculum-focused, applied, or hands-on. For example, at the Academy of Information Technology and Engineering in Stanford, students can study architecture and engineering, biomedical science, business, fine arts, or informational technology through student-centered project-based learning. Perhaps you might thrive in the agri-science program located at West Hill High School in Stanford, while students study animal or plant-related sciences. At the Center of Global Studies, located at Brian McMahon in Norwalk, students can obtain an international baccalaureate diploma while learning how to become citizens of our global society. They do so via hands-on, collaborative approach while either learning Arabic, Japanese, or Chinese, as well as cultures of Asia or the Middle East. At J.M. Wright Technical School in Stanford, through focused, applied, integrative lessons, students can engage in real-life problem solving by way of automotive technology, carpentry, culinary arts, digital media, electrical, facilities management, health technology, information systems, plumbing and heating, and tourism management. For students who have a passion for performance and wish to attend the Regional Center of Arts in Trumbull, they can do this part-time. Students would attend their core academic classes at Staples in the morning, and they would attend Regional Center for the Arts in the afternoon. They can enroll in programs such as video, dance, music, or theater to musical theater. Lastly, you may thrive at a school such as the Sound School in New Haven, which prepares students for college, careers, and life in maritime-focused environment. Aquaculture and marine trades are experienced via extensive exposure to on-the-water and water-related activities. Some of you students may already be exposed to these schools when representatives from visited Bedford in the fall and shared information about these programs. There's also additional information in the program of studies about these programs, and if your information is, if you're piqued and interested in any of these, you can go to the school's websites. They have more detailed information about upcoming open houses, about the application process. And counselors at the middle school and high school are available to answer any of your questions for any of those who are interested. For just about continuing on with the transition piece, in June, 8th grade students will have an individual meeting with their assigned high school counselor to review their courses that they're registered for and for us to answer any questions that you guys have. In August, there'll be a 9th grade student orientation. This is a time for students to make connections with each other and kind of get the lay of the land of the building, because it's really important for us when you guys come in the fall that you feel comfortable and you know where to go and navigate the building. In September, the counselors will have a 9th grade parent presentation. This will cover information about how to support your child's transition to Staples academically, as well as their social emotional well-being. There's also going to be a back-to-school night in September for parents to come and meet the teachers and attend their classes. If you're a family that's new to Westport, welcome. Be sure to go to the Westport Public Schools website and the Parents tab to review the student registration and information procedures. The online registration and procedure forms need to be completed in order to meet with a counselor here at the high school, and those meetings will start beginning April 14. There will be a new student-parent orientation to follow as well in August. Thank you, and have a great evening.
All right, balcony, you with me? All right, we'll find out in a second. So you have the schedule up here. Essentially, you have 15 minutes in each of the 5 sessions. And what you have a couple of handouts, and you have the schedule. Essentially, 3rd floor, you'll have math and science. 2nd floor, ELA social studies. 1st floor, you'll have world language and a lot of the arts as well. Guidance will be in their booth right outside of the auditorium for questions, but I want you to keep this packet for 1 week. You can throw it out in a week, but keep the packet because you'll see there are some valuable questions in there that I want you to ask and talk about during your discussion with your students. Balcony's leaving, but I need you to do one thing very quickly before you leave, before you all leave. On 3, I'm going to have the balcony yell out, go, and the lower bowl, wreckers. All right, balcony, 1, 2, 3. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3. You've been a great crowd. Have fun tonight. There's a lot to be excited about. Thank you.